Tyrell, hands on the desk.
I'm sorry, what did you just say to me?
The cash you've been skimming out of the deposit bags over the last 12 months.
This operation had been in the works for nearly a year. Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson, a shift lead at a Memphis Wendy's, walked right into it. And the camera above the deposit station caught every second.
How dare you accuse me of something I would
We
never
have
even...
you on video pulling $200 out of a sealed bag and stuffing it in your pocket.
You are out of...
47 seconds of grainy bank vestibule footage. One sealed deposit bag. One employee in a Wendy's polo, hands moving where he thought no one would ever look. By the time a Memphis police detective walked into the franchise office on Winchester Road with a flash drive in his pocket, Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson had skimmed $61,000 from cash deposits over 12 straight months, ridden a 6-person closing rotation as cover, and convinced 2 assistant managers they were about to lose their jobs for shortages they did not cause. The video was about to end all of it. Before we go any further, have you ever worked a job where 6 people shared the same closing duty, and somehow the blame for every missing dollar got smeared across all of them? Drop a comment and tell me where you were watching from. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We cover the cases where one tiny procedural change collapses a year-long scheme, every single week. Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson was born on August 14, 1997, at Regional One Health on Madison Avenue in downtown Memphis. His mother, Latrice Robinson, was 22 at the time and worked the morning shift at a Captain D's on Lamar. His father was not on the birth certificate, and by the time Tyrell was 4, the household consisted of his mother, his grandmother Earlene, and 2 younger cousins who rotated through the duplex on Pendleton Street, depending on which adult was working which shift. Money in that house was counted out loud. Earlene kept a spiral notebook on top of the refrigerator with the rent, the light bill, and the cable bill written across the top in blue ballpoint, and every Friday she sat at the kitchen table and subtracted what came in from what was owed. Tyrell watched her do it from the time he could read. He learned, before he was 9 years old, that $200 could be the entire difference between a calm weekend and a hard one. He attended Sherwood Elementary, then Hickory Ridge Middle, then graduated from Kirby High School in May of 2015. His transcript was unremarkable, a 2.7 GPA, no extracurriculars listed, 2 suspensions in 10th grade for skipping class. His one teacher quote from a senior year evaluation read, "Tyrell is quiet, polite, and consistently meets minimum expectations. He shows little interest in coursework but is reliable in attendance." Reliable in attendance. That phrase would follow him into the workforce. He took his first real job 2 months after graduation, a Sonic drive-in on Winchester Road, car hop position, $7.25 an hour plus tips. He stayed 8 months. He left to work at a Little Caesars on Hickory Hill, then a Crystal on Elvis Presley Boulevard, then back to fast food at a Rally's on Getwell. None of these jobs lasted longer than a year. None of them paid more than $9 an hour. None of them, according to former managers later interviewed by Memphis police detectives, produced any complaints about Tyrell's honesty. In September of 2020, at the age of 23, he walked into the Wendy's at 5384 Winchester Road in southeast Memphis and filled out an application. The general manager at the time, a woman named Crystal Boudreau, hired him 3 days later as a crew member on the closing shift. Starting wage, $10.25 an hour. His first assignment was the fry station. Crystal Boudreau's first written evaluation of Tyrell, completed 90 days into his employment, called him dependable, calm under rush volume, and good with the closing checklist. She promoted him to grill operator in March of 2021 with a 50-cent raise. 6 months later, in September of 2021, she promoted him again, this time to shift lead, with a key to the store, the closing safe combination, and the authority to count the drawers at end of night. His new wage was $13.75 an hour. His first assignment was the fry station. Crystal Boudreau's first written evaluation of Tyrell, completed 90 days into his employment, called him dependable, calm under rush volume, and good with the closing checklist. She promoted him to grill operator in March of 2021 with a 50-cent raise. 6 months later, in September of 2021, she promoted him again, this time to shift lead, with a key to the store, the closing safe combination, and the authority to count the drawers at end of night. His new wage was $13.75 an hour. He had been with the company for exactly 1 year. He was 24 years old. He was, by every available metric, doing well. His mother told detectives later that this was the first job Tyrell had ever talked about at the dinner table. He told Latrice he wanted to be an assistant manager within 2 years and a general manager within 5. He talked about saving up for a down payment on a duplex like the one Earlene had finally bought outright in 2019, the year before she died. In the months after his grandmother's funeral, Tyrell began handling more of the household bills. Latrice's hours had been cut at her new job, a housekeeping position at a Holiday Inn near the airport. The light bill came in his name now. The cable bill came in his name. The note on Earlene's duplex, paid off but still owing back property taxes from 2018 and 2019, came in his name. He paid all of it on time, every month. For the first 18 months he held that shift lead key. By the summer of 2022, the gap between what was coming in and what was going out had narrowed to almost nothing. His paycheck cleared on Fridays, and by the following Wednesday, his checking account was sitting under $40. He picked up extra shifts when they were offered. He worked one Thanksgiving and one Christmas Eve back to back. His co-workers described him during this period as the guy who never said no to a shift. One of them, an assistant manager named Brittany Cole, told detectives, "Tyrell was the most reliable closer we had. If you needed someone to lock up at 2 in the morning on a Sunday, he was the one who showed up." In the franchise office files, his September 2022 annual review used the language, "Tyrell demonstrates initiative, works well independently, and shows strong potential for advancement." He received another raise. He was now making $14.25 an hour, plus the occasional $1 an hour shift differential for overnights. It still was not enough. And by the first week of October 2022, sitting in his car in the parking lot of a Regions Bank night deposit slot at 3 in the morning, holding a sealed deposit bag that contained roughly $3,800 in cash, Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson made a decision he would later tell his attorney he did not remember making. To understand what Tyrell did, you have to understand exactly how a Wendy's franchise handles cash at the end of a shift. The 5384 Winchester Road location was owned by a regional franchisee, a company called Mid-South Restaurant Group, which operated 11 Wendy's locations across Shelby and Fayette counties. Each store followed an identical closing procedure, written into a 3-ring binder kept on the manager's desk and updated by corporate every 12 to 18 months. Closing started at 10:30 p.m. when the dining room locked. The drive-thru stayed open until 1 a.m. on weekdays and 2 a.m. on weekends. From the moment the last car pulled away, the closing shift lead, Tyrell, on most overnights, had between 45 minutes and 90 minutes of work ahead of him. He had to clean the line, restock the walk-in, pull the trash, mop the floors, count out 4 register drawers, run the end-of-day report on the point-of-sale system, reconcile the cash totals to the POS totals, fill out a deposit slip, seal the cash in a tamper-evident plastic deposit bag, and drive that bag 0.8 of a mile down Winchester Road to the Regions Bank night deposit slot. The deposit bag was the key. Tamper-evident, numbered, with a tear strip seal that, once activated, could not be reopened without visibly destroying the bag. Each bag had a unique serial number printed on the front and a duplicate carbon receipt that stayed with the store. The shift lead would count the cash, write the total on the deposit slip, place both inside the bag, peel the strip, press the seal closed, and the bag was, in theory, locked until it reached the bank vault. In theory. In practice, the Wendy's at 5384 Winchester Road had a problem that every shift lead knew about and no one had ever bothered to fix. The store's only security camera covering the manager's office, the small back room where the safe sat, where the drawers were counted, where the deposit bags were sealed, had been pointed at the back door instead of at the desk since a remodel in 2019. The camera over the safe itself recorded only a slice of the floor and the bottom of a filing cabinet. From the point of view of a shift lead sitting at that desk, counting cash, with the office door closed for security, there was no recorded footage of his hands. The second weakness was the closing rotation. Mid-South Restaurant Group used a 6-person closing roster at 5384 Winchester. Tyrell was one of those 6. The others were 2 assistant managers, Brittany Cole and Marcus DeWitt, and 3 other shift leads, Janelle Pettaway, Devin Sims, and a woman named Crystal Hawkins, who shared no relation to the general manager. The closing duty rotated based on the weekly schedule, and any one of those 6 could be the person counting cash and sealing the deposit bag on a given night. When a deposit came up short, when the cash inside the sealed bag, recounted by a Regions bank teller the following morning, did not match the total written on the slip, the franchise had a procedure for that too. The variance was logged in a spreadsheet. The shift lead who sealed the bag was notified. A written warning was issued after a 3rd short bag. A termination review was triggered after a 5th. But when 6 different people are sealing bags on a rotating schedule, and the shortages appear irregularly, $80 one Tuesday, $240 3 Saturdays later, nothing for 2 weeks, then $120 on a Wednesday. The spreadsheet stops looking like a pattern. It starts looking like a problem with the store. And that is exactly what the general manager, Crystal Boudreau, concluded in November of 2022. She held a closing staff meeting in the dining room at 11 p.m. on a Monday night. She told all 6 closers that the store had been short on cash deposits 4 times in the past 6 weeks. She told them she did not know who was responsible. She told them that if it kept happening, the franchise would start issuing written warnings to whichever name was on the bag that came up short, and that those warnings would land in personnel files regardless of whether the shortage was an accident, a miscount, or something worse. Tyrell sat in the front row of that meeting. According to Brittany Cole, who was sitting next to him, he nodded along with everyone else. He did not speak. The first short bag had gone in on October 4th, 2022, a Tuesday. The cash drawer totals on the POS for that shift came to $4,112.47. The deposit slip Tyrell filled out matched. The Regions bank teller, who opened the sealed bag at 10:15 the next morning, counted $3,912.47, $200 short. The mechanism Tyrell used was simple, and it was the same mechanism he would use, with minor variations in dollar amount, for the next 12 months. He counted the drawer cash correctly on the desk. He wrote the correct total on the deposit slip. He placed the cash and the slip into the deposit bag. He did not seal the bag immediately. Instead, he set the bag on the desk, opened the top, and pulled a stack of bills out, 20s, 50s, hundreds, whatever skim he had decided on for that night, and replaced them, dollar for dollar, in face value of paper, with $1 bills he had been carrying in his pocket. A $200 skim required 200 singles going into the bag. A $120 skim required 120 singles. He had a routine for this too. Every 2 or 3 days, on his off hours, he drove to a different bank, a First Tennessee on Mendenhall, a regional credit union on Knight Arnold, occasionally a Walmart Money Center on Hickory Hill, and broke down a $100 bill of his own money into singles. He kept the singles in a manila envelope under the driver's seat of his 2014 Nissan Altima. When the skim went into the bag, the weight of the bag stayed roughly the same. The thickness stayed roughly the same. The bag still contained the right number of pieces of paper. To anyone glancing at it, a fellow shift lead, an assistant manager doing a spot check before drop-off, it looked correct. The seal still pulled cleanly. The drop into the night deposit slot at Regions Bank still took 2 seconds. The shortage was only discovered when a teller, the next morning, ran the cash through the counter and watched the total fail to match. The first skim was $200. The second, 6 days later, was $160. By the end of October 2022, he had taken just under $900 across 4 shifts. By the end of December, the running total was just over $3,100. By the end of March 2023, it was $9,400. By the end of June 2023, it was $19,200. By the end of September 2023, it was $38,700. By the time the new district manager took over in early October 2023, the year-to-date skim had reached $52,500. By the night he was filmed, on October 19, 2023, the total stood at $61,040. The per-shift amounts varied by Tyrell's read of the night. On a busy Saturday with a full drawer, he might pull $240. On a slow Tuesday, he might pull $80. He never pulled the same number twice in a row. He never pulled on consecutive shifts. He averaged, across his 56 closing shifts in that 12-month window, just over $1,000 per shift skimmed, but spread the actual incidents across roughly 2/3 of his closes. In between, the other shift leads, Janelle, Devin, Crystal Hawkins, the 2 assistant managers, sealed bags that arrived at the bank intact. Their deposits matched. Their drawer counts matched. They had no idea that the shortages logged against their names on Crystal Boudreau's spreadsheet. Every shift lead had at least 4 or 5 entries by mid-2023 because the spreadsheet logged every short bag regardless of cause, were being absorbed into a pattern that pointed at no one specifically and at everyone generally. Marcus DeWitt, one of the 2 assistant managers, received his first written warning in February of 2023 for repeated cash variances. He told his fiancée, Andrea, that he was certain he was about to be fired. He spent the next 6 months recounting every drawer twice, photographing his deposit slips before sealing each bag, and writing down the serial number of every bag he dropped at the bank. None of it helped. The shortages kept coming. Brittany Cole received her first written warning in May. By September, both assistant managers had been told that one more variance would trigger a termination review. Meanwhile, Tyrell's life on paper did not change. He still drove the 2014 Altima. He still lived with his mother in the duplex on Pendleton. He paid down the back property taxes on the house. He bought a new transmission for the Altima in March of 2023, $2,400, paid in cash at a transmission shop on Getwell. He bought his mother a refurbished iPhone for her birthday in July. He paid Latrice's overdue medical bills from a hospital stay in 2021, $1,600 to Methodist South in 2 separate cash payments. He did not buy a new car. He did not move out. He did not take a vacation. He did not, according to detectives later, even open a savings account. The money went exactly where the money had always needed to go. Bills, the house, his mother. He kept the rest in cash, in the same manila envelope under the driver's seat where the singles came from. No one noticed. No one checked. Quick pause. If you've ever been blamed at a job for something a coworker was doing, leave a 1-word comment below telling me how it ended. Subscribe if you want to see the moment a single procedural change collapses this entire scheme. We're about to get to it. In early October of 2023, Mid-South Restaurant Group hired a new district manager for its Southeast Memphis region. Her name was Loretta Vance. She was 41 years old, a former Chick-fil-A operator from Jackson, Tennessee, and she had spent the previous 14 years running multi-unit fast food operations with a reputation for one thing: cash controls. Loretta Vance read the Mid-South spreadsheet for her assigned 11 stores during her first week on the job. She spent 2 days at the corporate office on Poplar Avenue going through 12 months of deposit variance logs. She did not flag any single employee. She did not call any general manager. She did not request any individual personnel file. What she did was identify the 3 stores in her district with the highest cumulative variance, and 5384 Winchester Road was at the top of that list, with 37 separate short bags totaling just over $61,000 in losses across the previous 12 months. On October 12, 2023, Loretta Vance drove to the Winchester store at 3 in the afternoon, sat in Crystal Boudreau's office for 40 minutes, and informed Crystal that, effective immediately, every closing shift at 5384 Winchester would include a single new procedural step. The shift lead, after sealing the deposit bag, would record a 30-second video on the store's iPad, provided by the franchise, kept locked in the office, showing the sealed bag, the serial number, the deposit slip total written on the outside, and the shift lead's face. The video would be uploaded to a shared Mid-South cloud folder before the bag left the building. The change cost the franchise nothing. The iPad already existed. The cloud folder already existed. The cameras built into the iPad already existed. Crystal Boudreau announced the new procedure at the closing staff meeting on the evening of October 13th, a Friday. All 6 closers were present. Tyrell sat in the same front row seat he had sat in the previous November. According to Brittany Cole, he nodded along with everyone else. He did not speak. What Crystal Boudreau did not mention, and what Loretta Vance had specifically told her not to mention, was the second change. Loretta had also requested, from the bank's corporate security office, access to the existing exterior surveillance footage at the Regions Bank night deposit slot at 5388 Winchester Road, less than 1,000 feet from the store. That footage already covered the night deposit slot from a camera mounted under the bank's drive-through awning. It had been recording continuously for years. No one had ever asked to look at it. Loretta asked. The first night the new procedure was in effect, October 14th, a Saturday, Tyrell closed the store with Janelle Pettaway. He counted the drawers in the office. He sealed a deposit bag containing $3,680. He did not skim. He recorded a 30-second video on the iPad showing the sealed bag, the serial number, the slip total, and his face. He uploaded it. He drove the bag to the bank. The bag arrived at the teller window the next morning at the correct amount. He closed again on October 17th, a Tuesday. Same procedure. He did not skim. The bag arrived correct. He closed again on October 19th, a Thursday. And that night, for reasons the detectives who later interviewed him could only attribute to a combination of habit, complacency, and pressure, his mother's car had broken down the previous weekend, and the repair estimate had come in at $1,100. He skimmed $200 from the deposit bag before sealing it. He recorded the 30-second iPad video. He uploaded it. He drove to the bank. He dropped the bag. The Regions Bank camera caught all of it. The following Monday, October 23rd, the Regions Bank teller who counted the 5384 Winchester deposit bag from the previous Thursday found the bag $200 short. She logged the variance and sent the standard notification to Mid-South Restaurant Group's corporate office. The notification landed in Loretta Vance's inbox at 10:47 a.m. By 11:15 a.m., Loretta had pulled the iPad video for the October 19th close from the cloud folder. The video showed Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson holding a sealed deposit bag with the correct serial number, the slip total clearly visible, $3,840, and his face on camera. The bag in the video, sealed, looked correct. At 12:02 p.m., Loretta called Regions Bank's corporate security office and formally requested the exterior surveillance footage from the night of October 19th, between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. The bank's security director, a man named Pete Halverson, emailed her a file at 2:18 that afternoon. Loretta watched it twice. The footage showed Tyrell's 2014 Nissan Altima pulling into the bank parking lot at 2:43 a.m. It showed him park in the spot nearest the night deposit slot, kill the engine, and sit in the driver's seat for approximately 90 seconds. The interior dome light was on. The camera, mounted under the drive-through awning roughly 30 feet away, captured the driver's side window clearly. It showed Tyrell pick up the sealed deposit bag from the passenger seat. It showed him pull the seal open, the tear strip clearly visible in the high-definition footage. It showed him remove a stack of bills from the bag and replace them with a stack of bills from a manila envelope he pulled from under his seat. It showed him reach into the glove box for a fresh deposit bag, a duplicate, blank, taken from the store's supply, transfer the contents into the new bag, write on the new bag's exterior with a Sharpie, peel the new bag's seal, and press it closed. The video ran for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. It ended with Tyrell stepping out of the car, walking to the night deposit slot, dropping the fresh bag, and driving away. Loretta Vance saved the file to 2 separate locations. She emailed it to Mid-South's owner, a man named Brad Lipscomb. She emailed it to the company's outside counsel. And on October 24th at 9:30 a.m., she called the Memphis Police Department's Economic Crimes Bureau and asked for a detective. Detective Alonzo Whitaker, a 14-year MPD veteran assigned to the Bureau, drove out to the Mid-South corporate office on Poplar that afternoon. He watched the video 3 times. He requested the 12-month variance log. He requested the closing shift schedule. He requested copies of every deposit slip and POS report for the 56 shifts Tyrell had closed. Within 6 business days, Detective Whitaker had assembled a spreadsheet that matched every short deposit bag at 5384 Winchester over the prior 12 months against the shift lead on duty that night. Of the 37 short bags totaling $61,040 in losses, every single one had been sealed by Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson. Not most, not the majority, everyone. The other 5 shift leads on the closing rotation: Brittany Cole, Marcus DeWitt, Janelle Pettaway, Devin Sims, Crystal Hawkins, had collectively sealed roughly 400 deposit bags during the same period. 0 of those bags had come up short. The pattern that had looked like a store-wide problem turned out to be one man, working alone, on every shift he was present, for 56 consecutive closes spread across a year. Detective Whitaker also pulled the bank's interior camera footage for the cash counter where the bags were opened each morning. He matched the timestamps. He pulled the manila envelope detail from the parking lot video and ran enhanced stills. He drove out to the First Tennessee branch on Mendenhall and the credit union on Knight Arnold and the Walmart Money Center on Hickory Hill, and he pulled their transaction records. Tyrell had broken $100 bills into singles at those 3 locations on 23 separate occasions in the prior 12 months, almost always within 48 hours of a known skim shift. The case file, by November 14th, ran to 147 pages. Detective Whitaker presented it to a Shelby County Assistant District Attorney named Renee Hollifield on November 17th. She authorized a warrant the same afternoon. On the morning of November 21st, 2023, Detective Whitaker and a second MPD officer drove to the duplex on Pendleton Street and knocked on the front door at 8:42 a.m. Tyrell answered in a gray t-shirt and basketball shorts. He had been off work for 2 days. He had closed the store the night before last and skimmed $180. Whitaker: Tyrell Robinson? Robinson: Yeah, that's me. Whitaker: I'm Detective Whitaker with Memphis PD Economic Crimes. We've got a warrant for your arrest on a charge of theft over $60,000. Need you to step outside with me. Robinson: Theft of what? From who? Whitaker: From your employer, Mid-South Restaurant Group, the Wendy's on Winchester. We're going to talk about it down at the station. Robinson stood in the doorway for several seconds without responding. His hands, which had been resting on the doorframe, dropped to his sides. He looked past the detectives, out toward the street, at his Nissan Altima parked at the curb. Robinson: I don't know what you're talking about. Whitaker: Tyrell, I've watched you on camera open a sealed deposit bag in the Regions Bank parking lot at 2:43 in the morning on October 19th. You replaced $200 in 20s with $200 in singles from a manila envelope under your seat. The envelope is probably still in the car right now. You want to keep saying you don't know what I'm talking about? Robinson's shoulders, which had been squared in the doorway, slumped forward. His eyes dropped to the welcome mat. He exhaled once, slowly. Robinson. I need to talk to a lawyer. Whitaker. That is your right. Turn around for me. Hands behind your back. Those were the last words Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson spoke before being placed in the back of an unmarked MPD sedan and driven to 201 Poplar. Tyrell was booked into Shelby County Jail at 9:51 a.m. on November 21, 2023. He was charged under Tennessee Code, annotated Section 39-14-103, with one count of theft of property valued over $60,000, a Class B felony in the state of Tennessee, carrying a sentencing range of 8 to 30 years and a maximum fine of $25,000. His bond was set at $25,000 by Shelby County General Sessions Judge Marvin Templeton at the initial appearance on November 22nd. His mother, Latrice Robinson, contacted a bail bondsman on Court Avenue, paid a $2,500 premium, and signed the duplex on Pendleton Street as collateral. Tyrell was released the evening of November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving. Mid-South Restaurant Group terminated his employment by certified letter on November 27th. The letter, signed by Loretta Vance, cited gross misconduct and theft of company assets. His final paycheck, $218.41, was direct deposited the following Friday. The assistant managers, Marcus DeWitt and Brittany Cole, were called individually into Crystal Boudreau's office on November 28th. Each was informed that the variance warnings in their personnel files had been formally expunged. Each was offered a written apology from Mid-South Corporate. Marcus told detectives during a later interview that he sat in his car in the parking lot for 40 minutes after the meeting, unable to drive home. I had spent 10 months thinking I was going to lose my job, he said. 10 months. I lost weight. I couldn't sleep. My fiancé thought I was having an affair because I was so checked out, and it was him. The whole time, it was him. Brittany Cole said only, I trusted Tyrell. We all did. He was the most reliable closer we had. Tyrell retained a Memphis defense attorney named Curtis Beeman through a referral from a family friend. Beeman's initial filings in December 2023 and January 2024 attempted to suppress the Regions Bank parking lot footage on the grounds that Mid-South Restaurant Group had not properly disclosed to employees that off-premises bank surveillance would be reviewed as part of internal cash handling audits. Judge Templeton denied the motion on February 14, 2024, ruling that the bank's exterior cameras were the bank's property, that no expectation of privacy existed in a public-facing drive-through lot at 2:43 in the morning, and that the footage was admissible in its entirety. As of the filing of this case file, Tyrell Jamarcus Robinson's case remains pre-trial. A plea conference was scheduled for late summer. Prosecutors have indicated they will seek a sentence at the lower end of the Class B range, 8 to 10 years, with full restitution of $61,040 and a permanent record of felony theft. His attorney has indicated he will pursue judicial diversion, which, given the dollar amount and the clarity of the video evidence, the assistant district attorney has stated on record she will oppose. If convicted at trial, Robinson will most likely serve his sentence at the Bledsoe County Correctional Complex in Pikeville, Tennessee, a medium-security state facility roughly 4 hours east of Memphis. Earliest possible release, assuming the low end of the range and standard good time credits, would put him out in 2030. He would be 33 years old. He would have a felony conviction for theft on his record, which, in the state of Tennessee, would bar him from any future position handling cash deposits at any licensed business. The duplex on Pendleton Street remains in his mother's name. The back property taxes, paid off with skimmed money, stay paid. The 2014 Nissan Altima sits in the driveway. The manila envelope is gone, seized as evidence, logged into the MPD property room, sitting in a sealed bag with a case number written across the front in black marker. The Wendy's at 5384 Winchester Road still operates a 6-person closing rotation. the iPad video procedure is still in effect. So is a new rule, implemented across all 11 Mid-South locations in January of 2024. Every deposit bag is now opened and recounted by a second shift lead before sealing, with both employees' names recorded on the slip. The procedural change cost the franchise nothing. That case was something else. But the case on the right-hand side will leave you wondering how it ever went undetected for as long as it did. Click it now.